Week 2 preview with the Commanders heading to Green Bay and, of course, the Super Bowl rematch. Good morning, or shall I say afternoon, and welcome to the Schatz and Tanier NFL podcast for Thursday, September 11th, 2025. We're a little delayed today. Sorry about that. For folks who showed up for the live stream at the usual time of 11 a.m., but we are here now at 12:30 to talk about Week 2 games. We will get to the big Super Bowl rematch in a few minutes. Mr. Nice Guy wants to know whether we would rather start the Washington defense against Green Bay or Kansas City against Philadelphia. What league are you in that you can't get a better defense than that for this week? The answer is neither. My God, no, don't start either one.
Yeah, get some defenses that get like 1 million sacks or whatever. Take Washington. We're going to talk a little bit. Green Bay has some offensive line injuries. That might be your best bet.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's start with Thursday night, which is a really great game of the Commanders at the Packers. The Packers are obviously everyone's darlings after a huge Week 1 win over Detroit and the Micah Parsons trade, and the Commanders are our darlings. Not that the Packers aren't, right? We really like the Packers too. This is also a battle between maybe the league's oldest team.
That's right.
In Washington, although, if you weight things by snaps, they're not quite as old as people think they are. Mm-hmm. And the league's youngest team, which is the Packers, and if you weight things by snaps, they are as young as people think they are. They use a lot of young players. And these two teams did not play each other in 2024. And this is my favorite stat from Week 1 that we found. We have all 22 coverage now from FTN. We're now marking all 22 on every play.
Nice.
With Micah Parsons on the field last week, minus 94% DVOA.
Oh, my God.
Without him on the field, plus 2%.
Heavens.
So they were an average defense without Parsons, and they were lights out, absurd, ridiculous with Parsons.
And those carry over kind of from Cowboys splits.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, right? Because a lot of these on-off splits are very questionable because you don't know when a player's on, who else is on, and when a player's off, who else is off.
For the situations, et cetera.
But, yeah, Parsons had strong splits with the Cowboys, and that's just ridiculous. It's one game, but it shows what he meant in the first week of the season.
Right. Two teams that I think a lot of us are looking at saying, I don't know if sleepers is the right word, but teams that could get up and take their divisions right now. You mentioned the Packers coming off a big win. I think the Commanders had a pretty convincing win, albeit.
They were number 1 in DVOA after Week 1 without opponent adjustments. So they had the most dominating win of the first week. It's just it came over the Giants. So we're all like, asterisk.
Yes, and justifiably so. But this is a good power scaling for both of these teams. Critical Thursday night matchup.
Yeah, Adams Digest says those stats are great, but it's irrelevant tonight with Daniel's ability to run around the contain because Goff was a statue in the pocket. I agree they're two very different quarterbacks. I don't think the numbers are irrelevant. Daniels last year was about average in the difference in his DVOA with and without pressure. Mm-hmm. By the way, Love was also average. Packers defense has historically struggled with scrambling quarterbacks, but last year, they allowed only 51 DYAR to scrambling quarterbacks, which was the 9th best figure in the league.
And the fact is, pass rush is never irrelevant. And also, Parsons is at a caliber of player that he can actually run down scrambling quarterbacks. There's only a handful of guys who say this pass rusher on Chase can make a difference, and he's one of them. So, again, it is going to be different, but it's not like, well, throw out the pass rush. You never do that in the NFL.
Now, I'll see whether they run a lot. Obviously it's easier to run when you have the threat that Daniels will keep the ball. And we talked about this on Monday morning show, but the Packers run defense was not suddenly like, oh, Kenny Clark is gone. We're giving up a zillion yards. It was fine.
Right. It's fine. We'll go over a couple of injuries right now. Mostly on the Packers side of the ball. The Commanders, the one thing is that Jaden Daniels has a minor wrist injury that is being monitored, but he's not even on the injury report. A couple big ones for the Packers, though. Nate Hobbs, limited in walkthroughs this week. He was out last week. You think of Nate Hobbs as an Amon-Ra St. Brown eraser. He would also be a Deebo Samuel eraser. You would think that he's a guy who handles heavy slot guys well. He looks like he's not going to be available. There are also 2 injuries on the Packers offensive line. Zach Tom oblique had to leave the game against the Lions. He did not practice all week. Aaron Banks, the guard, has a groin and ankle injury, also a DNP. A lot of depth on that Packers offensive line, but they could be down 2 starters and really test that depth.
Yeah, again, the Commanders, the thing is, pass rush is not their strength.
No.
Right? Like, Dietrich Wise and whoever else is the pass rush there. Sorry, Von Miller.
Doris Armstrong.
Doris Armstrong. Yeah. None of these guys are like, oh my God, this is the offensive line is going to kill us with this guy.
Right. At the same time, it can nerf the running game. It can nerf the balance. So that's
now the Packers make up for that, I think, with a lot of 12 personnel. Now that Luke Musgrave is healthy, they can leave those guys into block or they can pass with them. I did look it up. Commanders defense was relatively average against 12 personnel last year. So we'll see whether the Packers use a lot of that. Adam Digest also says Matthew Golden could be a big X factor with his man coverage success rate. Love never had a wide receiver last year to help against that coverage. Golden didn't do a lot in his first game, but again, it's only one game. I do think about, on one hand, I'm very high on Golden because I was like, hey, finally the Packers do have a guy who can really catch and that could be good. And then I think about Aaron Nagler telling us they don't really want to use a rookie that much.
Right. He's also grown to like Randy Moss proportions in the Packers media scape there. Like it's Matthew Golden here. This is not like a top 5 pick. I think he is a good prospect. Also, who was really good last week? Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Malik Neighbors was extremely quiet. Part of that was the Giants waves hands about the Giants, but he was really shutting down Neighbors, taking away that deep game, forcing Russell Wilson to do all his goofy old man stuff.
I wrote down a couple of other stats. Both of these, both the Commanders' offense was obviously really great at 3rd and 4th downs last year, but the Packers' defense was too.
Okay.
Packers' defense was particularly bad in the red zone last year, but that actually could mean regression is coming because that's something that doesn't tend to carry over from year to year. And they had the best red zone DVOA in the league in week 1, including an interception.
I was say I don't even remember them getting to letting the Lions in the red zone.
A couple of times there was a pick and then there was a touchdown at the end of the game that didn't matter, a garbage time touchdown.
Okay, because it was like the Evans Williams interception, but I thought that was like I guess it was from the 20-yard line itself. Or
yes. Some people count the red zone as starting at the 19. I counted as starting at the 20.
Right.
Basically. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a dominant victory over the law. I mean, both these teams had dominant victories last week. So it looks really good. The line is Packers at home -3.5.
I'm feeling the Commanders.
Yeah, I feel like I'm driving the Commanders bandwagon this year, so I do have to go with the Commanders and the points.
Yeah.
Not that I'll be shocked if the Packers win by a healthy amount, like a 7 or a 10 or something. The Packers are a really good team. And again, like we talked about in the preseason, I don't know whether we could fully account for what Micah Parsons means. He's maybe the most important defensive player in the league.
Yeah. And that's going to continue through the year. Of course, he is still working his way in because we have those splits because he wasn't on the field that much. I don't know in a short week how much he'll be on the field. Certainly some. He'll be out there 3rd and long, certainly, and he'll be making an impact, but it might not be every snap, might not be full strength. And again, there's enough on that injury report and where those injuries lined up, 2 bunched on the line, 1 on who would I think of as their slot corner, that makes me feel like there's enough of an advantage there to go Commanders.
All right. Before we get to the Super Bowl rematch, let's cover a couple of the 1 p.m. games. The one I thought was most interesting was the Bears at the Lions.
Hell yeah.
The Lions beat the Bears last year twice, although the first one was closer than you might remember, 23-20. The second one was 34-17, and Goff was fantastic in the second one with 336 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And obviously, a lot of the question here is about whether the Bears can pressure Goff. They're not known for the great pass rush. There's Montez Sweat and there's Ian Dingbo, who they brought from Indianapolis, but only Flacco last year had a bigger gap between DVOA with and without pressure than Jared Goff did, so you've got to pressure him.
And he was getting pressured. This is not the same offensive line, not the same offense, or at least it didn't look like that week 1. One guy you won't see for the Bears is probably Grady Jarrett, the veteran from the Falcons they brought in the offseason. He did not play in week 1. He has a knee injury. He did not practice all week. Better news on the Bears injury front. Jalen Johnson should be back.
Oh, good. He's very good.
Monday night. And we'll have to check till press time here, but Kyler Gordon, hamstring, still questionable. I don't recall if he was out or if he got hurt on Monday night, but they were banged up in the secondary. That's a big difference, obviously.
Last year, the Bears were one of the top defenses against number 1 wideouts and weak against number 2s and weak against deep passes. So if those trends would continue, which they don't necessarily from year to year, that would suggest a big game for Jameson Williams. Last year, Jameson Williams had only 28 yards in the first game, but he had 143 and a touchdown in the second game.
And he was quiet on Sunday.
Was quiet, and a lot of the Detroit offense was pretty quiet.
Everyone was quiet on Sunday. What are your thoughts? Caleb Williams' Monday night performance? What did you say?
I think the sack avoidance improved, but the accuracy was not as good.
The accuracy was weird. It was weird.
And he struggled with the blitz in week 1, and so I don't know whether Detroit comes after him with blitzes.
They blitzed a handful of times the other night. The problem is they were getting zero pressure. They were getting zero pressure against the Packers. And Aiden Hutchinson, it looked like you can double team him because you're not worried about anything else. It's interesting to see if they do that, if they try to show multiple looks at Williams. I would, because again, after that first drive, he was a different guy. You know, he was back to sort of either making a play or throwing a wobble or someplace. So it was a very, I don't know how to describe it, very intriguing performance.
Yeah, E-Dog, the big dog, says, what happened to Ben Johnson's creativity?
What did you want? Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if after one game you can be like, oh, it's not creative. Like, you want to see how they switch it up from game to game and do different things. And I don't know. I didn't come away going, this offense is stagnant as much as I was like, wow, he's really missing guys.
Yes. That's the thing I got as well. In the early script, everybody looked very comfortable. And then he is missing guys. Looks like open opportunities were there. I don't know how much is installed right now. The idea that they were able to put in 100% of what Jared Goff was doing for Caleb Williams and this offense, that's probably a little ambitious right now based on everything we've seen and heard.
The line is Lions -5.5. The pick system has no pick on this game. I think I would like the Bears under the idea that Johnson might know a little bit more about how to get to Goff because he coached him for a few years, but it's like 5.5 is a pretty right on their line, I think.
Right. It's down from 6. It was 6 this morning. Man, if we get that sucker to 4.5, I'm taking the Lions all the way, but it's not going to drop that far. I think there might be a little overreaction to the Lions week 1 dud in there.
Yeah. You want to avoid that kind of overreaction. Yeah.
A little bit of an overreaction in there. You do have a short week here for the Bears. Again, a very young team, and they're going to be coming on short preparation. I'm leaning towards Lions in this one. I'd love to get it down to 5, though, at least.
Let me take a couple of other questions. Red Matt wants to know, if Purdy misses 5 games, how much does that hurt the Niners' playoff chances? I ran a new sim this morning, actually. I only had him missing 2 games for sure, and then I had a small chance of him coming back the next couple games.
Okay.
Here, you have to, when you do this, you have to try to approximate how much a single player means.
Right.
And I do think that it's the great belief of everyone that in the Shanahan offense, the quarterback means less. Like, even though Purdy is the best quarterback to run the Shanahan offense, that it's not as big a drop as like going from like Justin Herbert to his backup or something.
Easton Stick or whatever.
I don't remember who's the backup.
It's Lance now.
Oh, it's Lance now. Yeah, so that would be a big drop.
Right.
It didn't drop the 49ers playoff chances that much.
Wow.
And the reason why is, 1, the schedule is still so easy.
Saints.
And 2, you're only talking about a couple of games that he's definitely going to miss.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of games that he might miss.
Right.
And I had already accounted for the fact that there was no Kittle.
You guys are going to ask.
Right? So the simulation that we did on Tuesday already accounted for that. So the one that I did today didn't add that in. It already had that. So I still feel like the 49ers have pretty good chance. Like they're still favored against the Saints this week, even with
Yeah.
Mac Jones at quarterback. I mean, that's just what their schedule is like.
Yeah, I'd take them laying 3 this week. And we've seen not just Garoppolo coming off the bench or Purdy himself coming off the bench, like Nick Mullins, guys like that in the past, being able to get the short term, get it schemed up so that they were out there to be effective. And Mac Jones, we make fun of Mac Jones. He's a professional. He can go out there and run a game plan.
I mean, he did last year for the Jaguars.
Like for like half a year.
He was a fine backup for the Jaguars.
Right.
Wannabe Sad Boy wants to know how DVOA weights garbage time scores and plays. Always been curious about that. There is a line at what point, certain point in the second half, if the score is not within, I think, 14 points for one side of the ball and 21 for the other side, I don't remember exactly, that it starts giving half weight to plays, but it still counts them. And one of the things I've talked about in the past is it would surprise people how much garbage time does actually indicate future performance.
Right. You've been saying that for 20 years. And that's been
like it's not like college. You don't throw in all your backups.
Right.
It's not, you don't press the mass subs button on NCAA football and all of a sudden third string freshmen are playing. It's not like that in the NFL. So if you're up by a lot, you give up some points and yards. It's still an indicator that your defense may not be quite as good as it was for the rest of the game.
Right.
It's a little surprise. Like I downweight that stuff, but it still counts some, and it's a little surprising how much it counts.
Right.
The other game I wanted to talk about from 1 p.m., although not a lot of the country is getting this, is Jaguars at Bengals, because this is the only game at 1 p.m. where both teams are 1-0.
Right. Somebody's going to be 2-0 and for real.
Yeah. These teams did not play each other last year. As bad as the Bengals, I have written down here, as bad as the Bengals pass defense was last year, the Jaguars pass defense was probably worse, as they were dead last in pass defense DVOA. I want to point out that Trevor Lawrence had the lowest pressure rate in the league in week 1, but that came against the Panthers. So this time he has to face Trey Hendrickson, but not really anybody else.
Yes, but only Trey Hendrickson.
I also wrote the Jaguars were dead last year against wide receiver 2. That's not a good thing when you have T. Higgins, but does it mean we see more Travis Hunter on defense this week?
They say that's what they say, so it might be true.
And they were dead last against tight ends. So here's some Tanier bait.
No.
Big Mike Gesicki game.
Drew Sample, a big day for Drew Sample, the Noah Fant, the tight ends of the Bengals.
For those who don't know, at the Substack, MikeTanier.substack.com, Mike wrote today a lot about how Mike Gesicki is not a tight end. Even if you accept the fact that tight ends line up in the slot a lot, he's still not a tight end. He never lines up in line, just like never, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah, he's listed third at tight end on their depth chart. He's a slot receiver. I'm not ripping the guy. He's turned into like an interesting slot player guy, however you want to describe that. He's not their tight end. So if you're looking for tight end advantages, go to Noah Fant. He's pretty much their receiver.
You might have Travis Hunter on him, actually. If Hunter plays slot,
it'd be a good matchup there.
2 quarterbacks who really excelled throwing up the middle last year. So that's something to watch for in this game. I think, I talked about in the preseason, I do think the Jaguars defense, the low number of turnovers they had last year is unsustainable. They're going to be better this year. The Bengals defense still looks like a mess. The line is Bengals -3.5.
I'm Jaguars.
I think I'm on the Bengals because they're at home, but I think a Jaguars win is not as ridiculous as people might think.
No, you get a field goal, you get +3.5 as well. It's just, I didn't watch on Monday. I didn't watch Bengals Browns yet. I watched it after we talked, and I can't unwatch it. Like it was just a messy game. It's like the Bengals played down to the Browns so thoroughly. That I can't turn around and be enthusiastic about this team right now. It was a very strange game. The Jaguars played a weak opponent, but rolled, and the Bengals played a weird opponent. Got into this fourth quarter rock fight that they needed, missed field goals, missed extra point. They're dropping passes. They're almost getting a safety. It was a very strange circumstance. I'm leaning Jaguars in this.
Trone Force asks a fantasy question. He needs 2 wide receivers in a flex this league, has a long list of players. This is basically what we're gonna offer most weeks. If you ask a fantasy question that's not just an X or Y, really use the FTN projections that are at ftnfantasy.com. Jeff Radcliffe and everyone else who does projections are much better at that than I am. Certainly, I can't recall off the top of my head. I can't even recall who all these teams are playing this week, let alone how those defenses do against those types of players. I will say, and I say this sadly as an Eckler guy who bought Eckler in a league or something. It looks like they want Crosby Merritt to be their running back, not Eckler. So if you're going to play one of those two guys, play Crosby Merritt.
Right. Well, as you did say PPR, Eckler will get PPR. No Cup.
Yeah, don't Cup is Cup looks like he's dead in the water.
Yeah, but yeah, tune into the other shows here at FTN Network, and you'll get better fantasy advice.
All right, Super Bowl rematch, kids. Let's do this without just reciting all of last year's Super Bowl preview. I was like sitting there thinking, what's going to be different in this game than last year? Because just because the Eagles walloped the Chiefs last year does not mean the Eagles will wallop the Chiefs this year.
Right.
That being said, the Chiefs last year said, we are loading up to stop Saquon Barkley. We will make Jalen Hurts beat us. And Jalen Hurts said, sure. And then with the help of the defense, did.
Right.
I mean, the defense was awesome. And the Chiefs do not have a guard playing left tackle this time. They have a left tackle playing left tackle, but he's a rookie left tackle.
Right.
And the defense doesn't have all the players that they had last year.
Right.
And they have a real problem at second cornerback.
Luckily for the Eagles, wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 will not be available. One is in driver's ed school, and the other slammed into zombie Travis Kelce last week. No Xavier Worthy, no.
So I don't know who Adoree Jackson will be covering, because if they put Mitchell on Hollywood Brown, I don't know, covers Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, it's very sidesy, by the way, in Philly. They're extremely sidesy.
Oh, okay.
So as Mitchell and God, Adoree still has the job. I don't know how. Howie went out there and got everybody at every other position. Couldn't find a cornerback he liked, apparently. So I mean, they're going to be moving. They'll probably moving Hollywood around to try and get him against Adoree. Although the flip side is, I think Adoree has trouble with size. So maybe you get a bigger guy on him. But like, there's not a lot of matchups the Chiefs can do. The Chiefs have to scheme everything because Kelce's clearly not what he was. Hollywood's kind of a name at this point. I mean, he's kind of a name at this point. He's their best option. Jalen Moore, the rookie, he's also out. So they're very, very shorthanded going into this game.
Yeah. The other side, Dallas Goedert may be out.
Yep.
I wrote down about the Chiefs' struggle against power run concepts where the Eagles excel.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they've loaded up to stop Saquon in the Super Bowl, I feel like if they're like, well, that didn't work last time, now let's not do that. Let's still do power run on them all the time.
Right. The Eagles don't abandon the run very easily either, too. It's like they're going to keep trying. Yes.
Jalen Hurts was clearly better against man coverage last year, while the Chiefs were better in zone coverage. So that would seem to maybe favor the Chiefs a little bit. But again, you don't know how much that carries over with the various injuries.
Right. Eagles got some good news. I think Goddard's out, frankly. Landon Dickerson has been practicing at guard. Looks like they're going to be shooting him full of everything and throwing him out there every week, no matter how banged up he is. Eagles made a couple of moves. We might see Zadarius Smith in the rotation.
That's a really good signing, I think.
Really good signing. So is Tank Bigsby. Now, it sounds like they're not sure he's going to be useful as backup to Saquon Barkley. But it's very much like the mentality here in Philly where it's like, we won, but like there are some places where maybe we got like a C or C minus. Let's beef them up. The exception of cornerback, but of course they made moves at cornerback during camp. They're just trying to. Yeah,
they try. I mean, they tried. They liked Keely Ringo, and they got Adoree Jackson. They tried to make cornerback. They just didn't work. The things they did don't seem to have worked.
Yeah, the guy isn't out there. No one's walking. I mean, maybe Gilmore's still out there. I don't know. The cornerback
still out there.
Gilmore's still out there, but we got to wonder why it had. If not just the Eagles, like, because a bunch of teams are like, man, we could use another cornerback. I feel like the Ravens are feeling that right now. And like, but he's still out there.
Yeah. The line is Eagles -1 in Kansas City. And this is the first time that Kansas City has been a home underdog since 2022, I believe.
Yeah, they are 0-0 as home dogs the last couple of years. The game we're talking about was the Bills. The Bills went into Arrowhead and won 24-20. I think it was an October game back in 2022. I think going back to like 2018, the Chiefs are only, I believe, 2-6 as home dogs. That's how rare it is for them to be home dogs. I like the Eagles in this.
Yeah, I think I do too, because it's hard to think of. I know the Eagles have lost some players off their defense, but it does feel a little bit like we saw that the Chiefs don't match up well with them this last year. And, obviously teams play twice. The same thing doesn't necessarily happen in the second game.
Right.
But there's nothing that's happened that makes me go, oh, now the Chiefs match up with them much better.
No. And having Kingsley Sumatea at guard, that doesn't help against Jalen Carter necessarily. Trey Smith is banged up, by the way, at the other guard position. We're all getting some Vicks and some Robitussin to make sure Jalen Carter, is very dry so he doesn't leave the game this time. I don't think the Chiefs are that good.
Well, that'll be an interesting discussion because if I'm already down to write for ESPN about Super Bowl losers coming off 0-2 starts if the Chiefs lose this game.
How many?
I haven't looked yet at how many of them there are, but I mean that'll be the Chiefs will be 0-2. It's
right.
Going to be a discussion.
It will be. It will be a discussion. It will be all the discussions.
Trone Force wants to know a trade offer he got for Derrick Henry and Devontae Adams for CMC and DK. He'd rather keep DK, but he's nervous about CMC staying healthy. Would we do CMC and Cup for Henry and Ridley in a PPR league?
If you can get rid of CMC and Cup, do it.
I've got to say, I've said everybody who's asked me about CMC when I've done like radio appearances, I've been like, this is about your own personal risk. How much risk do you want to take, right? Because the high is high, especially in a PPR league, but the risk is a lot of risk.
Yeah.
But I think since we both agree that we think Cup's pretty shot, I think the drop off from, even if CMC is the best CMC, the drop off from CMC to Henry is worth the improvement from Cup to Ridley. So I would do the deal.
Right. And with Ridley, you might get these games where he is targeted 14 times and he drops 3 of them. And 3 of them are off bait, but you still wind up with like 8 catches. And because they have nothing else to do in Tennessee. So that's a good guy to have lying around.
Yeah, Red Matt says, for what it's worth, CMC was saying yesterday that he's just fine. I guess the question is how much you think he'll be fine in the future, especially given that he's like the last man standing. Yes. I mean, they're going to have to feed him, so that's good for his fantasy value. But at the same time, that means he'll take more hits. So
right. I don't like that he was asked.
Sunday night, Falcons at Vikings. That's the 8 p.m. game. Vikings won this 42-21, but that was in week 14 of last season. So that was still during the Kirk Cousins era, and Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson each had over 130 yards with multiple touchdowns, but only one of them will play this time.
That's right.
I wrote down, watch out for Scrambling McCarthy. Falcons allowed more scramble yards in 2024 than any defense other than the Saints.
And McCarthy can run. We saw that last night. He can move a little bit. He'll escape pressure a little bit. Couple of big injuries, mostly on the Falcons side of the ball. Where, hold on, let me get it out here. Actually, on both sides. Very big injury report on both sides. Drake London and Darnell Mooney both have shoulder injuries. They are limited. It looked bad earlier in the week for London, but he was limited. He was out there. A couple to watch out for on the Vikings side of the ball. Andrew Van Ginkel in concussion protocol. Cashman has a hammy. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. That's 2 big guys on defense. I don't know what Van Ginkel's status is. One more here is that kick returner Ty Chandler is out with a knee injury. I bring this up because kick returns matter again.
Yeah. That's the Tank Bigsby. I mean, that's the Tank Bigsby trade, right? The Eagles even said they did the Tank Bigsby trade for kickoff returns, not necessarily to have a third string running back.
Right. There's guys who are having trouble fielding them. There's guys who are making big plays. etc. We saw Kevontae Turpin kind of bobble one. I don't think that's going to continue with Kevontae Turpin. I think he's going to be a weapon for the Cowboys. But yeah, so rookie Miles Price will be out there returning kicks, which means he'll be handling the ball a few times. Could be a little bit of an X factor in the game.
I think a lot of it depends on the Vikings defense and just how much they carry over from last year, because we did project that they were going to regress, but they looked pretty good in week 1.
Yeah, they kept getting better as the game went on.
Yeah, I mean, like everything else from the Vikings this week, they got better as the game went on.
Right.
The line is Vikings minus 4.5. I will say what the system likes is over.
Okay.
Over 45.5.
Okay.
Because while the Vikings defense is good, the Falcons defense is not.
Right.
And we think both of these offenses are good.
Mm-hmm.
And the game is indoors.
Game is indoors. Again, we have a few injuries, mostly involving when the Falcons have the ball there. But I have a funny feeling we'll probably see either Mooney or London. I don't think we're not going to see Cashman. I don't know if we'll see Van Ginkel. You know my rule. I'm not going to bet on the Falcons.
I'm not going to bet on the Falcons. Yeah, if I had to bet on this game, I think I would go Vikings, but I would avoid it. We don't bet on Falcons games.
Don't bet on Falcons games, folks.
Yeah. All right, that does it for today's show. Thank you for everybody who came back, even though the late start. Usually we are here at 11 a.m. Eastern, just to remind you, Mondays and Thursdays. And make sure you're reading Mike's Substack at miketanier.substack.com so that you can read all about how Mike Gesicki is absolutely, positively not a tight end.
Covering the critical issues of our age, ladies and gentlemen.
We will be back Monday to review the Super Bowl rematch and all the other games of week 2, as well as preview a Monday night doubleheader that, as old men, we are absolutely not making it through.
Midnight with the Chargers has returned, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. All right, that does it. Thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you next Monday. So long.